Hey everybody, hi, this is Coach Hall, and I am back, officially back. I was back last week, kind of, sort of halfway recovered from the great vacation I had. I had a wonderful vacation, a much needed recuperation, revitalization, and I'm ready to go. Which really is what I want to talk about today, since it is November 1st, 2021. We're skimming along here, moving along, trekking our way through 2021. And every beginning of the month is usually when the bills come in, or we got to make payments, or it's a start of something. Generally speaking, well, it's the start of the month, right? And it's a good time to take a look at maybe your finances, make sure you got the money to pay your bills. It's a good opportunity to look at, time to change the filter from the air conditioner, or maybe look at something to do with your car, or clean up the house. Or usually the beginning of a month is a good chance and a good opportunity to reevaluate or restart even, or regrouping of what it is that's going on in your life. Oh, by the way, these are my old man specs. So boasting about my old man specs. Yeah. I'm wearing my old man specs. Okay, let's talk about the group. The group has done fantastic during my little time away, and I want a big thanks to Sonja. She's been steadily posting very positive things each and every day. Real strong believer of positive thinking. I am as well. This is why she's one of the group experts. If you're feeling a little low or mellow, all you got to do is just check in and read what Sonja's been posting day in and day out. It should lift your spirits. Get out there and do what it is that she's talking about, because it really is what you need to do. It all starts with a thought. If you just start thinking in a more positive way, suddenly your life can shift in a more positive direction. We are up to a powerful number, 76. It's always been a very powerful number for me. Membership is at 76. Good. We're getting 1, 2, 3 people here and there. A couple might drop off, and slow, steady. This is what the growth is, and that's fine. And that's good. Okay, so let's talk about the motivation for today. What are we going to be motivated about? Well, it is the beginning of the month, and again, the topic really is about restarting or regrouping, or beginning a new start, if you will. And when we do this, it's a good time to look at some of the things that we have available to us. Since you're in this group, you're taking one of many courses that I offer, and I'm going to show something here up on the screen. And these are some of the frameworks that you probably have seen if you're taking any of my courses. If you've taken my 6-film course, you'll notice that one that looks kind of like a cookie cutter punch out. The lower left hand corner is the ACT framework itself: contact with the present moment, acceptance, values, diffusion, committed action, and of course self as context. The one directly in the middle is my Star Family Coaching symbol. You can see how I use the same 6 numbers, or 6 points, if you will, to represent many of the frameworks, including the empowerment cycle, which is really just how we can go about thinking about changing what we're doing in our lives and just becoming more aware of what's happening. We start out as reflexive. Then, as soon as we're exposed to something for the first time, we become reactive. If we just continue with that reactive pattern, this shifts over to repetitive, and this becomes a cycle. This becomes the empowerment cycle, except we're not really empowered so much. It's like life is just, causing us to react all the time. If we learn some techniques, some mindfulness techniques, perhaps practice some CBT or NLP, and we learn some responsive methods to deal with life, then we can shift down from reactive over to responsive and start repeating that over and over, and that becomes our new innate or reflexive way of dealing with life, right? If we continue around the cycle here, we could go from responsive to preparative. So we can actually prepare in advance. And these two can work together if we know the techniques to be responsive and we start practicing scenarios in our head. Then we can be more preparative in responding, and that will help us deal with life better in a more powerful way. So preparative is very important. Anytime you want to do anything and become proficient at it, you should prepare for it and practice it, right? That's what the repetition really is. It's about practice. And we do that here in this group too, right? You're learning things and then we're launching. Launching is the process of practicing. And once we start to practice things, we start to learn things. And this learning with practice is what we're earning. We're earning some experience and we're getting something from that experience. And if it happens to be that we have some goals that we want to achieve, we will achieve those goals. And that too will be what we have earned. We've earned our goals. Now let's continue around the empowerment cycle. The 6FEM area is all about is this proactive dot here. Can we become proactive where we really have empowerment, freedom, and mastery of our life? And the answer is yes, you could do that. I do that. This is the symbol on the upper left hand is what I practice every single day. I practice grounding. I practice taking ownership. I practice acceptance. I practice understanding and living my life purpose. I do. I'm a doer. Sometimes I do some watching, but mostly I do a lot of doing. And I do so with a growth mindset. Staying open-minded and learning and learning and learning. Being both a master of my own life, but a student of life as well. And so these things are all things that we can use to help us understand what's going on today, as well as where we want to go tomorrow. So as we start to regroup or restart, or just go through a self-examination or re-examination of things, and we start this November off, we have these wonderful tools that we can use, and we can start right at the apex of each of these things by focusing on, for example, the 6FEM grounding. What tools are we using to just get connected with the here and now and get grounded into this moment, so we can connect with what's going on the inside so that we can better relate to what's going on the outside. Okay, that's a great starting point. And it's the same process we would use if we were using the responsive technique, ACT, acceptance and commitment techniques and training. Contact with the present moment. Same idea. You're going to be using some sort of technique, could be meditation, deep breathing, to just get connected with the here and now so that you understand that your mind is something that you have control over. Your mind doesn't have to be caught up in worry, which is really dealing with the time of the future. Things that haven't happened yet, you're worried about the future. Or maybe you're depressed about things that have happened in the past. Neither one of those places is happening right now, and we want to get connected to the present moment, okay? Now on the far right hand side, this is my cognition tower, and right where that elevator is sitting, where that happy, well, that's kind of a neutral face, this is what our starting point would be. We want to start right here, right between where the child development age of our mind ends and the adult version grows up and begins. Right there, centered between where we have our thoughts and where we have objective viewing. Okay, that's where the triangle's at. And we can use this elevator through our meditation or through some guided hypnosis, or just we could script it out and read through it ourselves and go through the process. Moving up and down this elevator, because we've been all of these things at some point in time, even if for a flash moment, but we've spent a ton of time at the bottom of the elevator, because this is how we start. This is basically a developmental process in a symbolic form, okay? And when we get calm and focused, we're able to move up, and that's what we want to be able to do, to be able to move all the way up the entire cognition tower. so we can get full experience and really open our minds up to the options that are available to us in life. And with this same understanding, the mirror of that would be if we're emotional, scattered, stressed out, that the elevator is going to go down. And so if you're feeling a little stressed this morning, good chance the elevator is not up into the mindfulness area. It's down here stuck in, probably the fear zone or something else that's got your mind kind of in a tangle at this point. We want to untangle it and get back up here. And that's a great starting point. So these are all the frameworks that I teach, and there's a few others, but I wanted to highlight these because these all have starting points. And today is the first day of November, and we want to have a good start for the rest of the month and the rest of the year. We want to make sure that we are journaling, especially if we're having a rough go and things just aren't automatically in place, if we're not utilizing this framework, the empowerment framework, and we don't have a lot of proactivity going on. We're just basically reactive to life. Well, that's where you're at. Start journaling. Make yourself aware of what's going on. Take this stuff that's happening up here that's causing all the stress to occur and get it out there by putting it on paper or on a whiteboard like this. This is kind of like my journal, folks. I use this when I get a little stressed out. I realize we got more than like 2 or 3 things in my head I'm trying to juggle. Boom, I take the big eraser and I start writing all the stuff down here. And once it's out there, it frees my mind up. I know, okay, I'll focus on this one thing. Where can we go with that? Item number 2, what can I do with this? Item number 3, what can I do with that? And then at least I have some kind of control over what's happening in my mind because it's out of my mind. It's over there. And I can use my mind to come up with better ideas. All right, so point of reflection. We want to pay attention right now, perhaps is a good time. Where are we at on our human voyage? We only have so much time. We don't know how much time we have. And the world is constantly changing, and we are changing as well. And we need to learn to work with time and change in a nice little dance, like called a tango of time and change. Right? Sometimes time seems to go faster than we want it. Sometimes it feels like it's going slower than we want it. Sometimes there's change that we don't want to happen. We want everything to stay the same. And sometimes change doesn't happen fast enough. It's happening so fast that my tongue is getting ahead of my mouth right now. So change takes time. And sometimes we need to just get in sync and keep pace with the time, with the change that we can put out there and we can make occur, okay? Sometimes it's time to do a little value check. We have our own values, and sometimes they need to take a little shift. What are your primary values? What are your most important core values? You want to live by those, but sometimes we have them in the wrong order. If we see that we're getting stuck, maybe we have to shift things around and jostle it up a little bit. Maybe we have to introduce something that's not a top 5, but maybe it's a top 10 and move it up because that's where we're at in our life. And so it's time to do a little value check. But one of the things I really recommend that you do is just be active. Sometimes we get into a rut and we sit back, and I know a lot of us are still dealing with COVID, and we've almost gotten ourselves conditioned to just sitting around and waiting because we've been afraid to go outside, we've been afraid to get in contact with other people, so we've become voyeuristic, turning on the news, listening to all the horrors of the world, and we don't want to get involved with any of that. But it's important to get involved in life. You've got to become active in life. And you got to take a chance. Take some chances and be ready to learn from coming up short of the success that you experience or expect, rather. We all want to have success of some nature in some form, but sometimes we come up short. Oftentimes we do. Every time I attempt to do something, even speak, obviously, look how many little mistakes I've made just in this video. I'm coming up short with the success that I'm wanting to have when I'm speaking right now. But it's okay. I can learn from it. I'm learning on the go. I realize that there's a lot of stuff I want to say, and my mouth starts to get ahead of my brain, or my brain gets ahead of my mouth or something. One of those two things are happening, and when that happens, kind of jumble my words, and I say things that aren't the words I want to say. Learning. We're all learning. I'm still learning. And this is the good, bad, great principle. And this is one of the principles I teach in the Optimal Happy Life course, which is that good things are good, and we need to celebrate those things, and we need to be grateful and give praise to God and to, whatever power source that you tap into, that you believe into. Be grateful for the good things. So a lot of good things happen for us and to us each and every day. Little tiny things that we just don't spend a moment or two appreciating. And we need to appreciate all these things, right? Just the smell of coffee brewing or tea brewing in the air. Oh God, that's so good, right? Just take a moment to breathe that in and have that experience, and be grateful that somebody's over there making coffee or tea for you. That's amazing, right? Little things. Be appreciative of those things. And this is the good of life. But also true is that you can go out and put forth your best effort, and somebody's got a miserable day or having some things going on, and they're getting in your case, and they're not being nice, and sometimes bad luck happens, and all of these things can happen, and this could just start us going in the wrong direction. But if we're mindful of the fact that, hey, bad things are lessons, we could step back and go, okay, what can I learn from this? And sometimes it's just a learning of other people have issues, and they're bringing them to you, and maybe we're not recognizing that that's their problem. It's not my problem. But we can be empathetic enough and go, hey, you look like you're having a really bad day. What's going on? And suddenly you can listen to them. They feel like they're not alone in the world with these problems. And then you can use some of the techniques I'm going to talk to you about in a couple moments here that you can use for yourself, but also with others. But simply asking a few questions and getting their mind turned towards the positive. And they can join our group and listen to all the wonderful positive things that Sonja has to talk about. And then the world will become better, right? That's the hope that we all have, that we want to not have these bad things, but we want good things. We want more good than bad. But when we do have bad, these can turn into great moments, because usually a bad thing comes from a habit, a condition, a program that's running in our head that we can now look at and reprogram, and then suddenly we're great because we've learned that lesson, and it will stick with us, and we'll understand what was going on in that moment. Because oftentimes good things happen and we don't know why it was good. We appreciate it, we're happy for it, but we can't replicate that. The bad thing that we can turn to good, that's great, because we can replicate that, because we've learned from that. And this is what's so wonderful about the good, bad, and great principle. And just go through life like this. If you go through life going, hey, I've had a couple of bad days here, I'm going to take a step back, use the cognition tower maybe to go up and down and examine this thing thoroughly, and go, whoa, and have your aha moment and go, wow, okay, I'm going to start applying this new way of thinking into my life now, and suddenly it's great. Suddenly everything's great. And you're thankful for those bad periods, because they were lessons. It was like going to school. It was going to school that day, and you had a great teacher. And sometimes teacher comes with pain. And the pain helps you remember. Okay, helps you remember. Like if you got bad back, sometimes my posture's bad, my back begins to hurt. Oh, fix your posture, Donnie. The back pain goes away. It's a bad thing, the pain. Good things, straighten your posture up. Great to remember that, because it's good for my body to have good posture, right? Good, bad, great. Empowerment is understanding that you actually have control over taking command of that control. Okay? That's empowerment. That's what we really want to get. Small steps become bigger gains, and gains become the currency that you will use for self-esteem and achievement. Okay, so you need these tiny small steps. We post quite frequently making the bed and drinking the water because these are tiny steps of achievement, things that we can get our day started off on the right footing each and every day. It's a good thing, and it can motivate you for the first little obstacle that comes up in the day that could turn your day into a terrible direction, a negative direction. But since we've already had a couple of victories very early on in the day, now we struggle through this second or third or fourth obstacle or challenge of the day with no problems or very little problems, because it's going to all average out, right? And then once we realize that we've overcome those obstacles, we start to feel better instead of giving in and losing to the fear of dealing with that obstacle. And then we start having the quitting mentality. I don't want to do with it. I'm not going to deal with that. I don't want to do that. Boom. We deal with it. We get through the struggle. We win. Okay. When we deal with issues and we resolve those issues, it's a win. Even if you've had to make a sacrifice and come to some sort of compromise, it's a win because it's no longer a problem. Okay, because you can now move forward. Sometimes you have to give up a little in the short term to gain more in the long run, and that's part of learning the good, bad, and great principle, and it's all part of the human voyage. Let's look at what you can make November look like. What can you make November 1st look like and all the rest of November moving forward? What do you want? What don't you want? Why do you want that? What have you done so far to get it? And what are you willing to do to get it? And what will you do today as your first steps? Okay, these are the questions you can ask yourself. You can apply it to each and every one of the models that we talked about, all the different frameworks. When we go through a restart, a new start, or regrouping, or reflection, these are the questions we want to ask. What do you want? What don't you want? Why do you want that? What have you done to get that? Or what are you willing to do to get that? And what will you do today? What will be your first steps? Okay, what step are you willing to take today? Okay, that's going to wrap this Monday motivation meeting up. I hope you're motivated to get this to become the best November ever. I'm excited about November. I hope you are too. And with that, we're going to do our traditional sign off here. Live long and prosper. Get those fingers right. Live long and prosper. Keep cool and share the love.